What's good, everybody? Israel, and I come back and show another video. So with this video, I want to explain to you how you can become the master of your life. Now, I'm gonna try to go slowly with this because I want to make sure everything makes sense to you because I want you guys to begin applying this for your life right now. But the idea is simple. However, so the idea is simple and you can begin applying it right now. You can begin applying it immediately, but it may take time for this process to become automatic because usually when we're starting something new, we have to consciously think about it until it becomes part of our life and our lifestyle, right? And so this is the same idea here, right? This is where I'm going to teach you how to become the master of your life, but it might require conscious thought until you continue doing these things and applying these things so that it can now begin happening automatically. Because what you need to remember is this is a completely different way for most people. It's completely different from the way that they've been thinking and operating. And so it might have to be almost like reversing decades of conditioning from the people around you, from your environment, from things like that. But it's all going to be worth it. So the way that you become the master of your life is by consciously choosing the thoughts that you want to think and the emotions that you want to feel. Now, the reason why you want to be conscious with the thoughts that you think is because the thoughts that you think leads to the emotions that you feel, which ultimately determine the actions that you take. And we can use a simple example, right? Let's say, for example, there's a task at hand, right? And you believe you're not good enough. You believe you're not capable. If you believe that about yourself, then the emotion that you're going to feel is likely negative emotion. Why? Because that is not a good feeling thought to think that you can't do something, that you're not good enough, that you're not capable. And so the action that it will lead to, in most cases, will probably lead to inaction, right? Because you probably won't even try. You probably won't put your best foot forward. And so you believing you're not good enough will effectively determine the outcome of that task, that it won't get done because you don't believe it's possible that you're capable, right? So you're seeing how your thoughts directly influence your actions, which leads to the results that you get, right? So becoming the master of your life is effectively becoming a deliberate creator. It is becoming intentional with the thoughts that you think and the thoughts that you decide to plant in your mind so that you can be deliberate with how you feel, and that ultimately determines the actions that you take and the results that you experience. So we'll use another example, right? Say you have a dream and your dream is to one day own a home. Say this is a mansion or some really nice extravagant home. You'll look at the photos online, you'll watch videos, you'll fall in love with the home, of how beautiful the kitchen is, how much backyard space you have with the pool, how much, garage space you have for all the cars, how spacious the home is. You have 20, 30 feet floor to ceiling windows, right? You have all these extra rooms and you fall in love with the home until you look at the price. And then when you start looking at the price, you start feeling bad because you start thinking to yourself, I can't afford it. I'll never be able to afford this. And the reason why you believe that is because you're looking at your income, you're looking at how much you have saved up, and you're doing the math and you realize that it will never be possible for you to live here. And so because of it, you start feeling bad and you pretty much get rid of that dream entirely because you think it's out of the realm of possibilities because it's not you being realistic, right? See, that's problematic because that's operating under the assumption that if you want the home, right, it's operating under the assumption that you have to be the one to buy it. It's operating under the assumption that you will never have enough money for it, even though the income that you're earning is the income that you're earning right now. But who's to say that that's going to be the same income that you're going to be earning next year, right? What if you have an amazing idea for a business idea or an opportunity or something, and then your income skyrockets next year and then you'll be able to afford the home, right? You don't know what's in store for the future, right? You don't know what the possibilities are that are lined up for you. You don't know what blessings you have in the future. but you're going off of historical information and telling yourself, based on my history, this is everything that's, you know, expected to also be moving forward, when that's not the case, right? Things like miracles can happen, right? And essentially what I'm getting at here is that you thinking that you can't afford it and you'll never be able to afford it, and right, like these are thoughts that do not serve you. Because when you think that you can't afford something or you never be able to afford something, you begin to feel negative emotion, because that's your inner being, your true self, telling you that it's not in agreement with you, right? And so the other thing when it comes to emotions, right, of course, the thoughts that you think leads to the emotion that you feel. The emotions that you feel is basically your indicator telling you what you're vibrating. It's telling you what you're thinking, because if you're feeling bad, that's telling you that you're thinking negative thoughts. And it's almost like you driving with the GPS, and the GPS is telling you that you're going the wrong way. That's what negative emotions do. So negative emotions aren't necessarily bad, because they're serving as an indicator that you're heading in the wrong direction. Becoming the master of your life, it's being intentional with the thought that you think, so that you are intentional with how you feel. So a thought of, I'm not good enough, I'll never be able to earn enough money, I'll never be able to afford something, that's not a thought that serves you. And your emotions tell you that. And so that is your cue to decide on a better feeling thought, right? And in a lot of cases, it might go against logic, right? Because logic will tell you to go off of the evidence of your life, to go off of all the facts, right? Because it would be illogical if you were earning $50,000 a year and you fall in love with a $30 million mansion, and you tell yourself, I can afford that, I'll live in that home one day. For most people, that's illogical, and they'll tell you to be realistic. But that is realistic, because that is what you desire, and that's what feels good to you. It's realistic because that is a thought that serves you, because you feel good thinking that you'll be able to afford it, and that the time will come when you'll be living in that home, right? And that home has your name on it and it belongs to you. It feels a lot better thinking and believing that home is already yours and is on its way, than to think that you'll never be able to get it. That is the big difference right there, right? Becoming the master of your life is being a deliberate creator, is being intentional with your thoughts, so you can be intentional with how you feel. See, most people, they've lived their life by default, because they've likely didn't do the best job of selecting the thoughts that they want to think, that are completely independent from their results, or from the human constructs of society, right? They've probably decided their thoughts based on the results, right? In this case, you deciding on where you want to live, or the home that you want to settle on based on your income, right? That's you deciding on a thought based on your results. But if you want to be the master of your life, that's you creating the life the way you want it to be, and the life that you want to live, right? So you should be deciding on the thoughts that make you feel good, and focus on that. See, one way that you can do this is by something known as scripting. Scripting just means taking a pen, ideally a pen with blue ink, right? And a piece of paper, and writing down how you want your life to be, but write it in the present tense, right? You start off by saying, I'm so happy and grateful now that, and then you decide what you want it to be. And this is powerful because you're writing it in the present moment, so that you can begin getting excited and begin operating from that excitement. Now, why is this important? Why is it important to be feeling good and to be excited? Well, think about why you even desire anything to begin with, right? Most people might have desires of having a dream home, having, dream cars, having lovers, having a family, being healthy, living a healthy lifestyle, being able to travel the world, eat everywhere, own your own business, right? Whatever your desire is, you want any and all of these desires because you believe it will bring you happiness because you believe in some way, shape, or form having or experiencing any of the desires will bring happiness or improve the quality of your life or solve your problems, which will ultimately deliver you happiness. So it's always been about happiness. And you've known this to be true because when we feel happy, we feel at our best. Our body feels amazing, but we feel the best when we're happy because that's the best feeling that we can feel. And what you need to understand about humans is that humans are on a journey for happiness. Humans are always chasing happiness. It's just the challenge that most people face is that because they may not experience happiness all the time or from moment to moment, they strive to do what they can to make that happen, right? Because for most people, pretty much 99.9% of people, right? Probably more, if you could choose to only feel one feeling for the rest of your life, we would choose happiness because that's when we feel our best. And so we've always known this innately that we're after happiness. And the decisions that we make and the things that we do are for that. Think of all the products that you buy. You buy these products because you believe somehow, some way, it'll deliver you happiness, right? Most people buy products as solutions to the problems that they face, which is supposed to do what? Supposed to provide them with happiness, right? Look at all the stuff that you own in your room. Look at all the purchases that you've made. Look at all the other things that people spend their money on or buy or things like that. We make these decisions because we're chasing after happiness. That's what it's all about. So becoming the master of your life is becoming a deliberate creator, is becoming intentional with the thoughts that you think so that you can be intentional with how you feel. Because when you're feeling your best, you're in the best position to take the right action to then create, right? But also when you feel your best, you're also in alignment with everything else in the universe because everything on this planet is made up of energy. Everything's energy, your energy, right? So we're all the same. We're all one. We're all connected in one way, shape, or form, right, in this universe. We're all connected. And so you put out positive energy, that energy is going to make its way back to you. And this is how the world works. This is how you can become the master of your life. See, so many people have struggled with navigating through life because they have not been deliberate creators, right? They have probably been unintentional creators. They've probably been creating by default, right? Whenever an event happens that makes them feel bad, they'll be angry. And they're probably unaware that the negative emotion of anger is basically telling them that they're not on the right track, that they need to change that emotion from anger, frustration to positivity, that they need to work their way up, but they're probably not aware of that, right? People who are deliberate creators, intentional creators, these are the people that decide on the thoughts that they want to think so that they can result in the emotion that they want to feel, right? For me, that this activity scripting, there's also you writing down different things you're grateful for or even affirmation. Sometimes, I guess you can still call it scripting, yeah, that I write down ideas of, I essentially visualize the life that I want to live and I basically write it down in present tense, that I'm so happy and grateful now that, I'm in this financial situation, or that I'm in, that I own this, or like this is my lifestyle, this is what I'm doing, right? And I do all that because that gets me excited, even if it might seem that that reality is so far from this present reality. To me, it doesn't matter because when I'm writing in the present tense, I can experience the joy for it now, and I can be grateful for it now and make space for it to enter my life right now. And then I'll have so much fun and enjoy my day, and I'll effectively get the juices flowing and will be creating my dream life in this moment right here, right now. See, what a lot of people also forget is that even though, of course, time exists, it's also a human construct because, of course, there's a past, there's a present, there's a future. But what you need to remember is we can only ever operate in the present moment. even though the future is the future, right? The future won't ever arrive until we get to that future point in the present moment. And the past already happened. So the present moment is the only time frame we'll ever have the opportunity to work with. So you need to get comfortable operating in the present moment. That's why when you do your affirmations, when you write out the life that you want to live, right? When you start scripting out your life, you write it in the present moment so that you can begin experiencing it right now. And if you in your mind have created it and you're experiencing it in your mind, you're effectively attracting and bringing it forth to be created in the present moment right now. That's how it all works, right? This is how it all happens. This is how you can become the master of your life, by becoming a deliberate creator. Like, this is so powerful, but trust me, guys, this is the truth. This is reality, right? Like, you can become intentional with the thoughts that you think. Because if all the things that we desire in life, we desire because we believe it makes us happy, then that's the goal. The goal has always been for us to be happy. And so if we know that thoughts can affect our emotions, but the goal for us is to be happy, then wouldn't it make sense for us to decide on the thoughts that will best serve us rather than the thoughts that won't serve us, right? But it's so natural for a lot of people to settle on or decide on thoughts that do not serve them. When, why would you want that, right? If we're here for one lifetime, for one existence, right? If our time here is limited and it's finite, right? Shouldn't we want to make the most out of this lifetime? Shouldn't we want to be our number one cheerleader and number one supporter so that we can create the life that we want to live, right? Shouldn't we want to make this the most magical and enjoyable life experience ever? Like, even if we've come from humble beginnings, like, shouldn't we want the rest of our life stories and all the chapters to be so amazing and so much fun, and to be like an entire journey and a life worth living? I think everyone wants that, right? And you do this by being in control, right? Step away from everything else, separate yourself from the distractions, and begin thinking only about the things that you want. And by when I say the things that you want, I'm referring to your desires, right? Not to the point where you desperately want something, because when you operate from a place of desperation, right, that's not an emotion that feels good, right? That's coming from a place of lack. It's when you are desperate for something, you feel bad because you know that you're missing that thing in your life, right? I'm not referring to that. I'm referring to just the things that make you feel good, right? Think intentional thoughts, right? If you think a thought, how do you know if it serves you or not? It depends on how you feel. Just ask yourself, how do I feel? How does the thought make you feel? If the thought doesn't get you excited, right, then it's probably not fully serving you. And you can keep adjusting that thought until you decide on a thought that actually serves you, right? And that's how you should be living your life. That's how you should be focused, right? You should focus on deciding on the ideas that are going to serve you. And it can go against all logic. It can go against all of the constructs that we have for society, right? Because someone can have a desire of, wanting to be a butterfly specialist and know everything about butterflies. But the human construct, right? Someone will say, well, how are you supposed to earn an income from that passion or that occupation, right? So, great question. And there's many ways to do it. But for some people, they'll get hung up on that question, and that'll prevent them from chasing after their dream, if their dream is to be a butterfly expert or specialist, right? That's what I mean. You just have to decide on the thoughts that feel good, that make you feel amazing. You want to decide on that, and you want to be more conscious of regulating yourself, right? When you're feeling negative emotion, that's a sign that you're heading in the opposite direction, that you want to make some adjustments, which means think other thoughts, think better feeling thoughts, to then navigate back to feeling good. Because when you're feeling your best, that's when life gets most exciting, and that's when you begin attracting people, events, and circumstances that are going to match that feeling. So if you're feeling your best, you're going to see amazing things happen, amazing things flow into your life, right? It's how it works. So becoming the master of your life is nothing more than being a deliberate creator, is being conscious about the thoughts that you decide to choose, because that is how you begin creating the life that you want. If you believe that you're not good enough, you're not capable, then the rest of your life is going to reflect that, because it's not your facts that creates the belief, it's your beliefs that creates the facts. So a belief is nothing more than a thought that you think over and over and over, that we've repeated or that we've ingrained in our minds, right? And if we have a thought that doesn't serve us, a thought that we believe we're not good enough, then that belief of you being not good enough is going to be manifested in your world of you not being good enough for anything. Once again, that thought doesn't serve you, right? So a much better thought is a thought, a belief that you can be, do, or have anything. Because if you think that you feel good, you'll get excited. You can think that over and over and over. It becomes your new belief. And that belief effectively begins creating brand new facts of your life, effectively the results, because you're going to be taking action because you believe that you're capable. So then it's going to create new results in your life. And that is going to help you create the life that you've always wanted. So that is how you become the master of your life, by becoming a deliberate creator, by being intentional with all things, right? You don't need to have evidence in your life to think a thought that you want to think. You can be completely broke and still write out on a piece of paper that you're happy and grateful now that you are financially abundant, right? It sounds illogical to think that or believe that, but if it makes you feel good, then that is a thought that serves you. And if you keep thinking that, believing that, writing it over and over and over, right, then there will eventually be people, events, and circumstances that will align for you to help you deliver that outcome. So you can do that with absolutely anything and everything, right? You can do that to attract a partner, right? You can believe, and I'll explain to you how, right? If you believe that you are happily in a relationship, right? How would you feel if you were in that relationship right now? You would be absolutely ecstatic. You would be smiling because you're in love, because everything's amazing, right? You'd be on top of the world. It becomes a lot easier to attract a partner when you're full of love, when you're full of light, when you feel on top of the world, because there's going to be other people that are going to want to surround themselves with you because you are like gleaming with light. You see how this all works, right? So this is the power that you have as a creator, right? You can decide on the life that you want to live. Most people were creators by default, but I want you to be creating intentionally, so that beginning from this moment forward, you can decide on the thoughts that you want to think, so that you can create the life you've always wanted to live. So I rest up the video. Enjoy the video. Do leave a like and subscribe as we're on the road to a million subscriber, guys. So once again, it's Joel, and I'm out. I'll see you guys for the next video.